Way to get that out of the
So,
way.
you know, the last two meetings, obviously, we talked about, you know, the possibilities of creating an association to help maintain the roads. Uh, and it's been, you know, just that talk. But I did take the liberty to create a couple of documents. One of them is the Articles of Incorporation, which is what's required for the state of Missouri to create a not-for-profit organization. And the other one would be the bylaws of the association. The bylaws are how the board or the entity itself is to be ran, right? It just kind of defines that. I am not a lawyer, and I don't know how to speak lawyer, but I
Well,
do.
no, because we don't understand lawyers.
Well, but you know,
Damn,
we
sorry.
obviously have to have some sort of legal verbiage and things of that nature. So I personally live in a homeowners association. Luckily, it's not a very active association, but I use their bylaws and articles of incorporation to use as a framework and get that legal verbiage. So let's get the meat and potatoes, because this is the boring part. So here you'll see the articles of incorporation. It is a lot of legal jumbo mumbo, right? And again, I printed off some copies, and I can send food home with one as well. There's not really anything in the articles of incorporation that will really affect how the board or the association would be how it's ran. Again, this is just a document for the state of Missouri to create. There's certain parts of this that are basically copied and pasted from the bylaws as well in regards to voting rights and things of that nature. Which probably the most important thing is in the bylaws. So that's what I'm going to jump to now. So again, bylaws are what dictates how the entity can be ran. You know, the definitions section is probably the only section that I pretty much copied and pasted verbatim, other than changing, you know, counties and things like that. Didn't feel it necessary to change a whole lot of that. But here we go. So Article 3, you've got two classes of members. And the reason for the two classes of members is so that people that live here are the most protected and have the voting rights. The people like myself, like Bono, Bob, we would be Class B members because we don't reside here. Probably the most important part of that. That protects the people that do live here and their interests from the investors, like Bill Wolf from Chevron Sierra or Sunderland from Duluth. So within that, we have some different proposed votes, right? So Class A members shall be all owners as provided in Section 3 of this article that reside on the respective lot or lots as their primary place of residence. Each Class A member shall be entitled to one vote per lot. When more than one lot is owned by an owner of record, the following will apply. 1 through 5 lots owned, owner of record be allowed two votes. 6 through 10 lots owned, the owner of record will be allowed 4 votes. The maximum votes allowed, regardless of the number of lots not mentioned above, is 4 votes. When more than one person holds an interest in any such lot, all such persons shall be members. So that would be a great example of that would be my property. My sisters and I own it, so we would be tenants in common. It's kind of what we're referring to here. But if there's ever a situation like that with some of the other properties in the area.
We have 2 lots
You have 2 lots, yeah.
and 3 households.
Right. But you, as the owners, would be the only ones that have voting rights.
Okay, but we get like 2 votes because we have 2 lots.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
The vote for
My vote don't count anyway, so.
well, yeah, Mama's
It's funny
always
how
right.
that works when you're married, ain't it?
So the vote for such lot shall be exercised as they determine, but in no event shall more than one vote be cast with respect to any lot. So again, 2 lots, 2 votes. That's basically how that goes. So Class B members, that would, again, myself, Class B members shall be all owners of record that do not reside on the respective lot or lots as their primary place of residence. Class B members will be allowed 1 vote per lot or lots, regardless of the number of lots that are owned. So Class B members, no matter how many lots are owned, 1 vote. So that would mean Sheriff on Sierra would get 1 vote for any properties that they own. Sunderland would get 1 vote no matter how many properties he owns. Again, that's to protect everybody and everything else.
Yeah, that's why
That's
this
probably
is
the most
being written
important
the way it is.
part of this, honestly.
Yeah,
Because I
Because of
mean,
them.
they still own lots here now.
yeah, they do. And
So we
they-
got to look at the vote count and then trying
Absolutely.
to isolate anything we're doing.
All right, I'm not going to go through every.
That totally discloses you, Bobby.
I'm not going to go through everything in this. Again, I'll send Booth home with a copy of it so he can read it in full, and that is a pleasure. It's nice and long. So, Article 6, the nomination and election of directors. I've got Section 2 of this highlighted because that's the one I wanted to touch on today. The directors shall be elected for 2-year terms at an annual meeting of members. Elections of the board of directors shall be by secret ballot. As such election, the members and their proxies may cast with respect to each vacancy as many votes as they are entitled to exercise under the provisions of the Declaration of Government. The persons receiving the largest number of votes shall be elected. You know, that's pretty cut and dry, right? There was some questions. I was questioned about the 2-year term for the board of directors, but the fact of the matter is this is going to be a volunteer part-time job. Can somebody fully know how to do that job within a 1-year term? They can't. So I think the 2-year term would be ideal for that situation anyway. There is no limit on the number of terms that an elected member can run. So, I mean, let's say that we chose Bob to be the president of the HOA. And you're just standing up, so you're the one that gets picked on. You know, he runs his 2-year term, he gets reelected, runs that 2-year term. Everybody likes the way he's doing things. He can continue to be reelected non-stop. So basically goes until the people aren't liking what that person's doing, or somebody else wants to step in and do it. So, powers and duties of the board of directors. Again, another key important part. I highlighted D and E down here, but I'll go ahead and read A. To exercise for the association all powers, duties, and authority vested in or delegated to this association, not reserved to the membership by other provisions of these bylaws and the articles of incorporation. To declare, yeah, we don't really care about that one right now. To employ a manager, independent contractors, or such employees as the board deems necessary, and to prescribe their duties, and to enforce covenants imposed upon the properties, to amend the covenants only as voted by 2/3 of the association members present or by proxy at an annual or special meeting. That's also important. So what that means right there is that no matter what we choose, because I haven't touched anything on the covenants yet, I really want that to come from the people, right? No, I'm not going to take that liberty for everybody. Whatever we decide, if we form this entity, whatever those covenants are, the board of directors cannot change it without the vote of the people. So that means what we choose is basically it. At the beginning of these meetings, we said we don't care how you live, what you do on your property. That's still the same. We don't care. So I don't want ever for this thing to become something like what I live in at home. Although mine's not a very active HOA, it's sometimes a pain in the butt, and we don't want that. That's not why we have. That's not why we have property down here.
And not in Edwards.
You know, the whole
We don't wanna be
purpose
in a HOA.
of the Articles of Incorporation. Where was it? Okay. So under section 5 of the Articles of Incorporation, we've got the association does not contemplate pecuniary gain or profit to the members thereof, and the specific purposes for the association is formed. To exercise its powers and functions of the real property known and platted as all lots of blank. We haven't decided that yet, that's why it's blank. Morgan County, Missouri, and such extensions and additions thereto as may be made from time to time, to own and maintain private roads and common areas for the use and enjoyment of the general public resident in the 945 subdivision of land in blank, because again, we haven't chosen that yet, in Morgan County. What was it? I wrote this darn thing, now I can't figure out where I put it.
We're screwed.
Right? It's in here. I swear. Yeah, I need a minute.
Three kids are hungry, just let them eat. We got nothing to read. Just let them tear it up.
Maybe it wasn't there. Anyway, moving on. So, you continue through committees. I did put a provision in here for committees, and the reason for that is, you know, the board members may not necessarily be the ones maintaining the roads, but they're just basically acting as managers, right? So, within a committee, we could have an engineering and maintenance committee. That would be the people that actually do the road maintenance, or are responsible for contracting that out, whatever it may be needed at that time. There are also possibilities for other committees. We could have an activities committee. Again, the board can create whatever committee it wants, but that committee still has to follow within these same guidelines as well. So within an activities committee, you know, if we are able to form an association, we would obviously be purchasing equipment, right? And we would need a place to store that. So within that, there's a provision in here to be able to purchase land for, you know, association use, where we could put an equipment shed on. Well, we could also put a pavilion, you know, with picnic tables, concrete floor, something that every member within the association would have access to, free of charge, of course, you know, it's there. So if you were to have like a family reunion, birthday party, something like that, you wanted a nice, quiet place to do that and not have to worry about cleaning up your house, well, that's the place to go to, right? So I mean, that the activities committee could be something like that. We could also, within that activities committee, host something like dumpster days, where we rent some 40-yard roll-offs and, you know, let everybody toss the big trash items. Things like that is within the possibilities if we're able to form this. If not, you know, yeah, we can take money from people to fix the roads, but we can't take money from people and put it into a bank account to fix the roads. That's illegal. The only reason to form a legal entity is to keep everything legal and keep everybody honest. So that's the biggest part of this. Annual meetings. The annual meeting of the members shall be held on the first Wednesday in the month of September for each year, beginning in the year 2024, at the hour of 7:30 p.m. Basically, we would have an annual meeting, and that type of thing, the type of things that would be discussed, obviously concerns from the residents. The board would explain what the capital improvement plans are, along with the timelines for those, and also go over the budget. There would be full transparency with this because that's required by law. So within the annual meeting, I think we're actually required to send out annually the general ledger, right, the balance sheet, to everybody. So everybody would have access to it annually. But I personally, we haven't noted in here, but I would rather send it out quarterly so everybody knows exactly what their money is
Where
doing.
their money's going.
Especially for the first couple of years of if you know, when it first starts up. Again, full transparency, just so that everybody knows what's going on. You can have special meetings. The special meetings of the members can be called at any time by the president or by the board of directors upon written request of the members who are entitled to vote 1/4 of the votes of the Class A membership. So basically, if the members are not happy with something, they have the right to call the meeting, and the board of directors have to be there to do that. So, again, that whole checks and balances thing. Lots of stuff, more legal mumbo jumbo. Obviously, there would be assessments, and the reason for the assessments is for the road maintenance. So, the purpose of the assessments levied by the association shall be used exclusively for the purpose of promoting the ingress and egress of the members of the association, and in particular for the improvement and maintenance of the roads, services, and facilities devoted to this purpose. Again, facilities would be equipment shed, things like that. We haven't fully decided on what the annual assessment would be. Unlike Chevron Sierra, we know sometimes, you know, coming up with $100 all at once is not the easiest thing to do. We talked about allowing monthly payments and things like that. But as of right now, I've got it in here annually. But again, I think we can be subject to change on an individual basis for certain people. I think it just makes sense to be flexible. Maximum annual assessment may be increased above the established by Consumer Price Index formula by a vote of the members for the next succeeding 5 years. So again, to increase the annual assessments would require authorization from the members itself. So it would be the board's responsibility to lobby and explain why it's needed, for what it's going to be used for, to make that happen. There is a provision in here for special assessments, and the reason for that is, you know, life happens, nature happens, certain things have to be fixed immediately, and there may not always be funds for it, right? So in the special assessment is in addition to the regular assessment. The association may levy in any calendar year a special assessment applicable to the year only for the purpose of defraying in whole or in part the cost of any construction or reconstruction, unexpected repair or replacement of the described capital improvement upon the area. Again, it's there. So right here, shall have the consent of 51% of the votes cast. So the board can't levy that without the authorization of the members again. But the reason for that would be, you know, the creek completely washed out. We have to have an emergency repaired, but there's no funds for it. Again, that's the kind of thing where the board itself would have to go to each member and ask for their vote, right? Whether or not they choose to vote is up to them, but we need 51% of the actual members to do that.
Okay, with that, I think, I'm sitting here thinking, you know, our roads are different than Booth Road.
Right.
So, and Lauren Lane and all the other roads. I get what you're saying, but maybe we need to work on, okay, so Candy Lane had a washout. You know, all the other road people, they're not going to want to spend extra money to fix Candy Lane because they don't care.
But the whole purpose of this entity to be able to legally take money from people,
I understand that.
is basically crowdsourcing. That's essentially what it is.
True.
So if we were to assign a special assessment to Candy Lane, obviously they're not going to be happy about that, but it's going to be less burdensome if everybody
True.
pitches in.
together.
And
And
I
that's
get
the
that.
whole purpose.
But my fear is people.
Well, and you got to make them realize too that the same thing is going to happen if they need that special assessment.
Right.
And this
So,
this is the
I mean,
thing.
it's a give and
those are the
take
community
regardless.
out here looking out for our
Because
neighbors.
everybody's situations on their roads are different.
But I've been thinking about an idea. I don't know how well it would work, but I've been thinking about a little non-for-profit thing that I could set up that would probably blow through the roof, and funds to be set up also through that.
Depends on how your articles of incorporation are.
Right.
And I know we have some free labor. We have 2 young kids right here that are more than willing to get a shovel
Oh, he's got a smile on his face. I think he's ready to go.
and go learn to.
And actually, this
he can
is,
learn to drive the
this
skid
is what
steer
it
out here.
is.
Let me finish my.
You want to drive the skid steer? You want to drive the Bobcat? We'll get you on it. In a tractor?
So if we put up 501c, isn't any money that people put towards it considered tax deductible? Because they're putting it into a 501c?
No,
Non-profit?
the association itself would be the only one that would have
Okay.
that status.
Because I know my veterans organization's a 501c3, and any money people donate to us, they can deduct that from their
Well,
taxes.
I mean, initially, to start all of this, obviously
this is
it
where I
costs
was
money to
going
file
with that,
documents
was
with
what
the
I
state of
was gonna
Missouri. It
start.
costs money to file documents with the Morgan County Recorder's Office. And then there's also going to be a lawyer that's going to have to get involved for all of those blank spots to make sure we get the proper plat numbers, tax IDs for those properties, and cross-reference that with what Chevron Sierra has, because it doesn't match Morgan County.
Not at all.
I started to create a spreadsheet trying to figure out property owners and trying to get all that information, and then I realized, unfortunately, after about 3 hours of work, that halfway through, that I was making a huge mistake because there was no way to figure out what Trek E7 is in Morgan County. It's just a huge pain. There is a thing in here for exempt property. So basically anything owned or managed by the association itself would not be required to, pay a due or an assessment. The reason for that would be the association would be paying itself. Does that make sense? Not really. And we'd be using everyone's money to do that, so it just doesn't make sense to do that.
Real quick, on that, if we have a piece of property, we still got to pay Missouri state tax on it,
Correct.
property tax. So that money has got to come out of the kitty as well.
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with the roads.
No, but it is still money that you are putting in. That money, particular money, is not going to the road. It's going to pay the property tax on that piece of property.
I
where we
already
s-
pay property tax on my property. I
No,
don't want to pay
that's
on
not what I'm
another piece
saying.
of property.
That's not what I'm. Listen, to what I'm saying.
No,
I'm
what,
saying-
what he's saying is part of the assessments would be used for taxes.
Yeah,
For
I
the-
understand
our
that.
property that we buy for the.
Yeah, because we have to if we form this, we're gonna need to purchase equipment because we're not with what I'm thinking we're gonna be asking for your annual assessment. We're not gonna be able to afford to hire contractors to come in and do this for us, so it's gonna have to be done in-house essentially, which is the reason we have the engineering and maintenance committee, the guys that we know can run equipment and are willing to donate some time.
They work on them when they break down.
Right.
And then
But
that
then-
piece of property we store it on has a tax every year we're going to have to pay for.
Yes.
And that's what I'm getting at. I want everybody to know that there's going to be
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
your
there-
money's not going
there
to
are-
just be on the road. It's going to
Well,
be
yeah,
spent
there are
for.
costs associated with having to run.
And that's what I was getting at.
Yeah.
That's,
It's not, I pay $200 over the course of 2 years, 3 years, whatever it may be. We're not necessarily going to get $200 worth of road work out of that. We'll probably get $180 worth of road work out of that. So,
yeah, maybe. Yeah.
and it's just, throwing some numbers out there to kind of give you an example of it. But yeah, so it doesn't make sense for the association to pay an assessment to itself, because again, it doesn't make sense. So then we have, book of records and corporate seal. These bylaws may be amended at a regular or special meeting of the members by a vote of 2/3, the majority or the quorum, and the members present in person or by proxy. So we do, not everybody can make it to the meeting, right? I did put the proxy thing in there just for all of the votes. That way, we can have a Zoom meeting where this person's at work, they're going to take a 15-minute break, they can watch on their phone or whatever, and they can vote via that. So within Zoom, you can
You
vote.
can do that on Zoom. You can vote. And,
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know much about Zoom.
Yeah, there's a function in there where you can.
You know anything about that?
Does it record the?
Yeah, we can record the meetings in the Zoom as well.
Yeah, I think that'd be good if
And
somebody's not.
I can because I've got the corporate full access
Yeah.
Zoom stuff. So.
But like if Terry can't be here, but she
if
wants
you were
to watch
if you
it,
were to
that's
create
just
your
work.
if you were to create a Zoom account, you wouldn't have all of that unless you paid for it.
Right.
My company pays for it, so it's not like a big deal.
So it's a freebie for us to help us.
Essentially, yeah, for the most part. And then that's pretty much it. All 8 pages. I don't want to go through all of this because it's just a lot. But I will, by all means, let you have a copy. Questions, comments, concerns? Luke, you've been pretty quiet over there.
You wanna do something?
Good bathroom reading material. Just don't use it for toilet paper because I use a really thick paper. It's not gonna feel good.
Just don't. We'll make sure you don't drag it around on the road. But yeah,
Be gentle with it. If I go to eat it, no.
They probably will.
They would, they eat anything. Plastics, it doesn't matter.
So anyway, I spent a lot of time on these, trying to make it as
Professional possible.
professional as possible, and also with what I would want to see with the association and how it runs. Don't really want them involved in our day-to-day lives because that's not what they're for. And I think I've done a pretty good job of that. These are the proposed documents, subject to change. So if by any means you have any suggestions to change and tweak anything, write it down on the back of those papers, and then
contact
get
one
it to
of
me,
us.
and then I'll make the changes, or we'll bring it up at the next meeting. To see.
Okay, I need to say this because it was brought to my attention. I was at work just this past week and a lady came and they are going through the same thing we're going through. I can't remember the name of their road, but it's not part of our road. Well, they made an association
Oh, damn, I was the
with their roads. And her husband and her father-in-law and her, they were voted in to be the ones running it, to be the ones that's gonna collect the money and do this and do that, and they were doing it. They redone their whole road, and it was all fine and dandy. One member accused her husband of taking $1,200 out of that kitty, or whatever you wanna call it, for the road, and now there's a huge lawsuit.
I'm sure there is.
Okay.
Again,
Now,
that's
And
why.
that's one thing
That's-
that I'm afraid of. I love all of y'all to pieces, and I don't want
and
nothing to
and that's
happen.
it. So we've got
between
to
all
be
of us.
responsible and vote in the board members that are gonna have access to those funds.
Yeah.
okay. Now, I was a
The
board
people
member
that we trust, right?
at my old lake property, and I was on the checking account, the bank account, and the other board members were too. But for any of us to touch that money, we had to have the 3 board members present to write the check, and a third person or 4th person that was in the community
Yeah.
as a
it's-
witness to.
Yeah.
So like I'm a board member, Jay's a board member, Bono's a board member. We all have to be there. One of us sign it, and then you have to be there because your community. You have to be there for us to write check. Now there was
I've actually got that in here.
there was stipulations where if we we had a price cap of I think it was $1,000 that any one of the board members could go spend as long as we had the receipt. And we didn't have to have maybe it was 200, 500, somewhere there. So if I needed to go buy fuel for the equipment, I could just run to the store and buy the fuel, and I didn't have to have all the board members. But we could put a cap like $50 or $100 to go get fuel. I'm running the road grader that day, and it runs out of gas. I gotta have gas right now. Bono, Jay, they're in the city. I'm just pulling people here. I gotta have fuel right now. We had one board member that did it, and he just went and used his own money and then wanted a reimbursement, which we reimbursed him.
I think that's the way to go.
But
I
it was
mean, if they have the money.
But it was a lot harder that way because with the laws and logistics of that, we had to prove, because he took his own gas cans. He took his own money to go buy the gas. And so we ixnayed that real quick. We didn't want, because it was a bigger headache. So we and I don't remember, I'll think about how we did it, but we did it where the gas cans, we took the gas cans, the owned community property gas cans, to fill them, because you know you're running a tractor. The tractor runs out of gas. It's in the middle of the day. Tony's down there working, or you're down there on the tractor working. You run out of gas. Well, shoot, I need gas right now. Go get it. You know, we got to have a cap.
The solution for that is a fuel card.
Yeah.
True.
I believe
Okay, I like
so.
that better too. Because we didn't do it credit.
So Section 10, or Article 10, Section 7 of the bylaws.
On the bylaws.
Hey, did you get it?
So the president shall preside at all meetings of the board of directors, shall see that orders and resolutions of the board are carried out, shall sign all leases, mortgages, deeds, and other written instruments, and shall co-sign all checks and promissory notes. The treasurer shall receive and deposit in the appropriate bank accounts all monies of the association, and shall disperse such funds as directed by resolution of the board of directors. So basically to touch any of this money, it has to have two signatures.
Has to go through the thing. Okay, what about like statements from the bank? Will all of us have
Yes.
access to that
We will send them out.
Quarterly, as of right now, that's what I'm proposing.
to see
To start
exactly?
with, yeah.
just in case anybody
Well, I
has
know,
any
and-
questions.
No,
It
you're
always
right.
is a concern.
Because
but
if somebody is in charge of it and all of a sudden there's
Now-
nothing
now, keep
in
in mind,
there,
this
we
being
want
a
to. Everybody wants to know
legal
what the hell
entity,
happened.
if somebody pilfers money in some way, somehow, from the people, we file charges. We put them in jail. You know?
Absolutely.
That's-
I mean, I
that's-
see it every day at work, so I
Yeah.
know what I know what goes on.
And I really think that what you brought up is great. I love that because I never thought about that until you said it. But when I was on that other board, you know, you have to. I want 3, not 2, but you're going to have 3 board members, right?
5.
Okay, 5. So I'm going to say at least 3 board members have to sign off on a check,
Well, as of right now, we've got the president and the treasurer.
and you need 1 more. I'd like to see the president, treasurer, 1 more board member, and then somebody else that's not on the board, like Booth. He lives here full time. Terry can.
Well,
And the good
legally
thing-
they can't.
And the good
They
thing
can
about
watch. They
it,
can just watch that it's being signed, and so we can go, and it'll be recorded. You know, the board members, everybody was there to do their deal. Whoever signs the check, we'll all be on the bank account. Whoever's, and then Booth will be there to say, yes, I witnessed it. In case something was to come up with that,
yeah.
then we'd have the board members, and then Booth.
And before anybody purchases anything, the whole group has a
Well,
vote.
Right.
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We have to vote it in
It's
before
not,
anybody
you
just
know,
goes
we
and say,
create
well,
the, we
Right.
create the entity.
I found this good
We
deal.
start to build funds,
Yeah.
let's say that we've accumulated $28,000 and we're ready to go purchase a road grader, an excavator, or something, right? It would 100% not go through just the board. It
Yeah,
would be brought to the
through
people,
everybody.
say, hey, we've got this available. We want to use these funds for this.
That would be an emergency
Again, it's just
meeting
full
to me.
disclosure and transparency for
Yeah.
everyone. Trying to keep people
I
honest.
just don't want it to get to that point where those people are at right now, because like I said, we all are close around here.
You're right. So again, you have to be responsible in voting for the people that you absolutely 100% trust.
Yeah.
The ones that you would trust with your key to your home or your wallet.
Like us on the hill.
Right. So
Basically.
And honestly,
Our
if we
house is
set up
unlocked,
a-
come on.
if we set up a bank account with online,
Uh-huh.
if anybody has any questions, we can provide them a bank statement
access
saying, they'll
to-
say, oh, well, I think this guy took $1,200 out on this day. We could provide them an
I mean, yeah, if there's ever a question
online
about
statement,
that,
Yeah.
and we could say,
the
hey,
meeting-
here's
I
the
just don't
statement.
want it to get to that point
Right.
that some John that lives off of Leaning Tree says, I didn't approve of this, you know,
well,
and
not everybody will approve of
exactly.
it, but you just need 2/3 of the votes
Yeah.
to approve something, right? Or in certain
Because
circumstances,
it's so
51%.
easy to accuse somebody of something.
Of people that are at the meetings. Yeah, not everybody's gonna ever
I
be
try.
all at the meetings because life is life, right? So
I tried talking
you know.
to people on Leaning Tree Road, and the only thing I could do
Todd
was go and
talked to a
kidnap
couple
them.
of them on Leaning Tree as well. the
I
other
tried
day.
talking to Tanya, and I was like, "You're off Saturday. Do you want to come?" And she's going to her father-in-law's,
Okay.
so she's not here.
We
Okay,
need to put
so
together
thank
also
you.
a contact list
Yeah,
for
of
what
everybody.
person is the contact for what property.
That's what I was trying
And
to do
then
with that.
that
and I realized
way-
I was screwing up.
Yeah.
Okay, now
Once
what,
we can do that, once we can establish that, we can, if someone's unable to make the meeting, we can contact them and say, hey, this is what's going on, this is what we're voting on, do you want to
Do
cast
you
your
want your
vote?
vote? Yeah.
You want an
And
amendment?
okay,
In
now,
other words, if you don't
part of
vote, you have
Yeah.
no say in it.
Pretty much.
now here's what,
Yeah, and
thank,
don't complain about your road.
hold on, hey, I'm trying to get to there. Thank you for bringing that up. I have a big problem here, okay?
Yeah, we
We know
know.
you have a lot of
Shut
them.
up.
Where do we start?
Should I get a pen? No.
Honey, you ain't got enough paper to write my problems down.
I got a bunch of sheets.
But now, okay, I have heard so many people bitch about the roads. My car, my did. Okay? And here's where I'm going to be a little bit of an ass. Get your butt to the meeting. Yes, I understand you work Saturdays sometimes. Steve works Saturdays sometimes. Not everybody can be there. But when you can take an hour out of your day and come. And if you don't want to come, I don't want to hear you bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plain and simple, because I know people in Lauren Lane bitching. I know that these people down here have bitched about the road coming up their hill. You know, if you don't want
I
to,
tried.
I know you did. I know you did. You did, you know, but you can only, you can lead a horse
you
to
can't
water.
kidnap him.
But, you know,
But if they don't want to join the party,
but
you
then
don't
they're going
have
to be, then they're
fix
going to
the
bitch.
road.
They're going to bitch, oh, well, my dad died because the ambulance couldn't get there. Well, why didn't you guys fix it? Well, why don't you come to the meeting and find out? Am I wrong with what I'm saying?
Exactly.
I know over off of Lauren Lane, there's been at least 1 to 2 people that I know of. I know one for sure died because the ambulance got stuck.
You're talking about Barton Court.
No, it was Allison.
Allison Lane, Allison, not Lauren, Allison.
I was gonna say Lauren is down
Yeah,
at
Lauren.
the bottom of our.
I talked to JJ down there. He goes, I'm not a people person, I'm not coming. I said, okay, cool. And I told him
He's
that
not
day.
really.
I said, and they're the ones that I've heard bitch about the road. Yes, they bought a piece of equipment to do some road work. But his mom has gotten stuck more than once on Webb Road. I told him, I said, dude, you guys don't come. We don't want to hear you guys complaining about your car being tore up. And I said, it's only fair that we're trying to do something and we're trying to get everybody involved and you guys don't want to come. Yeah, you're not a people person. I get that. I understand. But an hour to help this
Everybody.
entire community, because what happens if, and I'm at a point where when they get stuck on the hill, I'm going to go around them.
I can't pull him out. My little car can't really get up there.
I'll come and rescue you in a heartbeat. I don't care what time it is. I'll get you out.
You come to the meeting.
My little car, if my muffler don't hit 2 or 3 times going up the hill.
We're gonna put your car in a
I gotta
4-wheel
put
drive
a
frame.
Well, the whole purpose of forming this again is to promote the safe ingress and egress on the roads. And what that means is that we're driving through, you can not damage your vehicle. You can get in and out in the wintertime. Especially if we were to buy a road grader. I mean, we can clear the snow and ice off the road so fast. There should be no reason.
Damn, that's my excuse
And-
not to go to work.
I know.
Well, they don't have to know about it, Terry. They don't have to know.
Oh, yes, they do. She's my boss.
Well, your boss don't come to the meeting, so she won't know anything about this.
but
But-
yeah, she's not hear her road
You know,
real bad.
over the last year and a half, 2 years maybe, I personally have spent over $1,000 or more, maybe $2,000 on just road maintenance, just for my little section. I haven't bought any gravel, but I bought equipment and spent a lot of money in fuel.
Yeah.
You know, speaking of that, why didn't they gravel that road? When they
don't like me.
I don't
Chevron
care.
does not like me.
No one likes you, but that's besides the point.
He's an asshole.
Well, I don't think they like me either, but it's like I told Todd, the only reason they came out and done what they done is because they already knew they were scheduling that meeting for all of us to go to.
Yeah, they wanted.
And he wanted to have
maintenance.
receipts that he done something.
27 loads
Yeah,
of
seven,
gravel.
That's
exactly
7
what
years.
Only
is the only time
reason
he did something.
he done
12 ton
Yeah.
loads at a time. I asked him what size truck you hauled up there with. Single axle. I was like, so you ain't getting much on a single axle. And she looked it up real quick, being snippy. Well, 12 ton at a time. I was like, 27 loads, man, that's 2,000.
He's gonna get you, Todd.
I know, he
A
gonna try.
gravel penny.
He's gonna worm shit.
It's only got one laying down there. The horse off the hill after some good heavy lifting.
Hard on him.
You know?
Hard on him.
Who wants a kid?
Not me.
Terry, you want spanking? He needs spanking, Terry.
Hey, my youngest is 18 years old. He's on his own now. This is the first time we live by ourselves, and we still have dogs and
I
animals.
like that
so
fun.
Oh, you're an
In 20
empty,
years.
empty nester.
the first time in
He's-
20 years we live in
He's
by
ready to
ourselves.
rip that rack.
Huh?
He's ready to rip that rack for over there. Just
So-
floating around.
Anyway, that's what I'm proposing. Again, if you have comments, questions, concerns, whatever, write it down. Get that to me somehow, some way.
Yeah.
You know, by all means, share that with your neighbors and try to. At least this gives us some starting point, right?
Yeah,
Right.
it does. That's
That
a little
that's
bit more advancement than the last. Well, I wasn't here in the
within
last meeting, but
the last
Well, then
two
you're
meetings we've had.
punished.
We weren't here at the last one either. Our garage was used, but we weren't.
I'm punished too.
y'all too.
Yeah, the last few meetings was, you know,
Terry.
throwing some ideas out there. Again, this is just a starting point. I, again, have not touched the covenants because that needs to come from you guys. Right?
yeah.
Plain and simple. I don't want to assume whatever. So I think at the next meeting, we make amendments to these as needed, as suggested, whatever, and everybody agrees on. And then we start tossing out ideas for covenants. Obviously, the only covenant that we're really worried about is the assessment portion of it for the road use, and that's it. I've got copies of the other declaration of covenants from Chevron. You know, the one that they say are tied
To everybody's
to
lots,
everybody's
most
property
people
that
ain't got
really
it.
aren't. At least they're not to mine.
Something wrong.
Nuisance. No,
No,
we're not going
she's
to have
very
that.
calling
Pets.
to talk
There's
to
no
me
not going to be
about
any restriction
her
on
unit
pets.
getting
Trash.
unhooked
No
Monday.
rubbish waste or trash. Not going to have any restrictions on that. Don't care if you got a lagoon. People got to poop and it's got to go somewhere, right?
Hello. We
Unlicensed
need a lagoon.
vehicles. Nope. Don't care about that. Commercial activity. Don't care about that either. Signs. Don't care about that. Tree removal. Yeah, I don't care. Easements and setbacks. Obviously, we have to have something for the easements and setbacks from the road edge, just for maintenance purposes.
Well, hold on the lagoon. I mean, we have a stump out here that Terry's been caught on. Her holy
bring
stump,
it
and
down
she's
finally?
been having her
I'm
brushes down.
gonna use the commode outside.
Well, we can do that too, but I mean that's right on the road at least 2 years.
I'm taking it over to the cabin.
Camping?
You
No,
want-
I
you
don't
have
care
it.
about that. Homes and buildings?
serious.
You know, there should be no restrictions on that whatsoever. I don't care if you live in a trailer, you build a 400 square foot.
I don't care if you live
Yeah,
in the
but it doesn't
ground.
matter,
I don't
right?
want nobody on my property
Again,
telling me how
the
to
only
build my
thing-
house.
Oh, Tony, it's free
Easements and
range.
setbacks, and when it comes to the assessments,
Just like the chickens.
probably the only two things that I would suggest that we keep, right?
I will
Keep
bring
it
some
simple and very non-restricted. And if we can get 2/3 of the property owners in what we're going to propose for this area, then any declaration of covenants that Chevron did actually record with the county recorder, we can remove and then impose our own.
Are they like sausage?
Now we don't, again, 2/3 of the property owners have to be there to sign that and be notarized in order for that to happen.
And do we know, have a number at least of how many people we need to get?
We're,
About 65.
as of right now, including Allison Lane, but you said Allison Lane doesn't want to be involved, there's roughly 150 tracts of land from Chevron. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that there's 150 property owners, because, some
Right,
people own multiple lots, multiple tracks, right? We're guesstimating right now about 80 families-ish. And,
So
if
Allison
we, and if we remove Allison Lane,
They don't want nothing to do with it?
no.
Well, that's what Scott told me today, that, and that's just coming from Scott, not,
Yeah, well, I
I
mean,
didn't talk to everybody on Ellis Lane, and Scott just told me that.
we know
that
the
they
older
want
gentleman that was at the March meeting with Chevron is not going to be very receptive to anything of this matter. And
Ken, no, but Ma does want in on this, and the people past Ma wants in on this. So
She's trying to talk to Ken though, because it's like she said, no, right now they may not need assistance through
But
the
Ken's old.
association, but there may be times that they do need our equipment and our assistance.
yeah,
when Ken is, I mean,
and we're not talking about a lot of money per person either.
And
To start off with, just to gain some capital funds so we can purchase equipment, travel, things of that nature. I mean, yeah, we'll probably be looking at the $20 to $30 per month range just to start. That's going to fall within that special assessment and the regular assessment, right?
I'm game for
But
that.
then we're looking, $6 to $10 per month after that, once everything's at a maintainable level.
Right.
I have an
think
idea.
it's very palatable as far as budgets are concerned.
You know how, like I said, like Laura, Leaning Tree Road is, nobody's here. I don't know if anybody came from last meeting
They
from
did.
over there,
We had
or if anybody's interested in giving money for it.
I
But
took
if
Peter home
if
up that sucker
Ozark
last
Heights
night. It needs
Road
work.
has the equipment, and they need help, and they're not paying, contract it out.
I'm sorry, he broke in and then I got distracted. Say that one more time.
Okay, if Leaning Tree Road or any other road don't want to pay or whatever, but they do need help, instead of us putting up our funds to fuel it and stuff like that, contract it out to them.
Yeah, so any road area,
If we
whatever we
have
want to
it.
call it, does not want to be part of the association, by all means, we're not going to make it be part of it if they don't want it, right? If there's not at least one member person on that road that doesn't want it at all, then there's no point in
Right.
including them. That's why all of that space is blank, because we haven't defined the area yet. Right?
okay.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna bring something else up. We talked about it yesterday. You said
But,
you really didn't.
well,
want to.
one second, so we're finishing that. But, so within that, yeah, let's say that Allison Lane doesn't want to be part of it, but they need our equipment for some emergency purpose or something, right? Yeah, they can hire us.
Exactly, and that's a good way for us to make that extra funding for taxes every year,
Yeah.
for anything else, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay. Now I got an idea, and it can be used in multiple ways. Okay. We all drink soda and beer.
I can
Gosh.
see,
Todd, remember what I said yesterday?
I have an idea. I know. I'm just throwing something out
All right.
with what she just said about hiring it out. People want to
Sure, it's very
collect your stuff. We can take it in and put that money towards the taxes. That could be money going towards taxes, because it's basically, I call it free money. It's cans that you're already buying because you want the soda.
I mentioned that to Tony like 3 weeks ago.
Oh, did you? Okay. See, I wasn't the only one, Jay.
Yeah, well, so
And I mentioned it to Jay.
within
Community
that,
bake
you know,
sale.
to start the organization, I don't want to cloud the whole idea with other forms of revenue just yet. Like we mentioned that last night, but
And I'm sorry, but she brought that up to mention
and the reason for that is because the most important thing right now to make our roads better is to get everybody to agree to the actual assessments. Once the organization is founded, we've made some improvements. Then we can look at other ways to ease the burden on
That's why everybody has a vote.
right? But to start with, we need to make sure that we're not clouding it.
Right.
But
Okay.
right now, that extra money on the aluminum cans and stuff, before this gets started, that would help me and Tony and Jay with all the gas that we're using. That way people don't have to spend any money out of pocket. We've had people, you've donated money. Tony had somebody donate some money. Williams donated gas. You don't. Shit. But you know, right now, any way to help take some burden off of.
Well, yeah,
As
for
of
right now, yeah. But in regards to the organization itself, yeah, the focus right now needs to be on the organization and the. Now, if people want to donate soda cans and things to us, by all means, we'll continue to use our equipment. We got to maintain with
Oh, it's
fuel,
going to be used.
and then.
I'm just saying it would help take some burden.
Well, yeah, absolutely. You know, Tony.
Her idea was great.
Excuse me.
Me, you, you know, prior to this year, we're the only ones doing anything on the roads. So,
Well, I have to admit,
You know, Sierra was out here every day, man.
well, if you ask them, they were.
the roads are the best they have ever been right
Well,
now.
I don't know about that.
No, since we've been here,
Well,
for
since you've
7
been here,
years,
yeah.
yes.
And
I'll
I
tell
do
you what
know-
they looked like in 1998. They looked 16 feet wide.
Yeah.
They were crowned properly. We had good ditches. All of the culverts were clear, even the little crossings, all the side crossings and things. And you could drive down there and not have to worry about damaging your vehicle if you were driving a car that was only 2 inches off there. That's what they looked like in 1998.
We
Now,
had
since
no
then,
cars.
Chevron has only maintained the roads that I've seen about 5 times.
Yeah.
And when
have-
they did do it, they just screwed things up.
But I mean, if we have one pothole, it does
I'm
not
bring you into this.
mean
real
you have to take the tractor or a
throw you on the bus real
whatever and burn all that fuel coming from here all the way down there
No, but
for one
it
pothole.
wouldn't take much to go take skid steer and go in the creek and grab a bucket and fill that pothole, though.
Yeah. You know, and then I mean that's just wasting gas if you ask me. If
Well,
it's just
but the one
like right
pothole-
now there is one
The one
pothole.
pothole becomes bigger potholes, right?
Well, as soon as mine gets
there's more
fit-
potholes. They're like pimples. They just start showing up everywhere.
There's just 2 of them. One's not very big and one of them's just a little wide one, and you can miss it.
Terry, as soon as we get the carburetor adjusted on mine, I will take it down there and I will call you, and we will show me which one we're talking about, and I'll go in the creek and get gravel.
I don't
Okay.
care about it. I'll miss it all the time.
Okay.
But that's what I'm saying. I don't see a purpose of taking it and burning all that fuel going all the way down there just for one pothole, you know?
Well, yeah, not necessarily, but that's something like could be reported to the
I mean, I can take my
engineering
shovel in my
maintenance committee,
car.
and they would put it on a list of things while they're in the area. They're going to
Yeah.
come over and fix that as well.
Like they
Unless
said.
it was a big deal, right? You know, if
Yeah.
there was a pothole, it was raining outside, it's full of water, you forget how deep this sucker is, and you drive in it and your car's bottomed out, you can't go nowhere.
Yeah.
That's an emergency kind of pothole. We got to fix it.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Now, I'm gonna bring this up. You know, I'm an okay mechanic to a point. I hate carburetors.
Todd, that's not good.
I work on shit. I do. And once I'm pulling myself out of my depression.
Started and drove it out here.
So, you know, you guys don't know what I've been through. Well, some of you do know what I've been through the past few years in my depression. But I've been relying on Jay and Tony to help me get stuff running. When our stuff goes down, I do know of another mechanic that is in the building right now that is a liver down here. He lives here. And he lives down here, living down here. So
He resides in the area.
Are you sure he's not a kidney?
well, he might be a gizzard. I don't know.
I like liver.
I do too. But would that man be willing to help out if we have something go down? Because I work a lot of hours. You do too. So Tony works a lot of hours on getting stuff, you know.
And I'm only down here so
Right. And so we have to wait. But there's times where, when I'm at work, if I can get your number and call on you and say, hey, the tractor's got a problem, the skid steer's got a problem, can you come over and help us real quick?
I can operate equipment too, so, and I can, about anything with wheels I can run, so.
Well, that's good to know. I mean, that's what we need to know too, is what everybody skill set is. Terry is great at making
I'm gonna
brownies.
sit back here and tell y'all
No,
what
it's that
to do.
stove. I'm telling you, it's that stove.
Yeah.
Everything I cook over that stove is good right
Terry,
now.
hey, everybody, Terry has to bring brownies to every meeting.
Free. It just
It
tastes so
was
much better.
Good.
Everybody that wants Terry to bring brownies to every meeting say aye, aye,
Oh,
aye,
no,
Special
I made
brownies,
it
aye.
better.
And Steve, you know,
I've
he
already
does,
had 3.
you know, log, you know, if we have a tree that needs to be cut up and log, you know, we might be using some lumber down there.
Let me ask, who worked on that first bridge at the bottom?
JJ.
JJ. down there off Lauren Lane.
He knows what the hell he's doing.
Yeah, I wish he'd go take care of the other one past that one.
Me too, but he.
Chrissy, could you get his number? But no, I'm just trying to, utilize.
I'm impressed at that one. I mean,
Oh,
I
yeah.
was like, you can pass 2 cars on it.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to utilize everybody's skills.
All right, Booth, what's your number?
You know,
I'm good at running my mouth.
you got a job already. You only have one job. That's brownies.
Oh, sorry, my husband's yelling. I can't hear.
Sorry.
Get his number.
Go get your new car.
He gave me a broom yesterday and told me he got me a new car.
I got 3 of them. I could choose the red one, the green one, or the black one.
It was a little bit short, man.
It was. Not even big enough for my butt to fit on.
But it looked like a witch's broom.
I got a bigger one, Chris, so you can share.
Yeah, if you could.
I think his depth perception is off.
You ain't got a big butt. Shut up.
I was about to throw something up there too. Tony's been doing a good job down there in the bottoms.
Yep.
Definitely a lot better.
Don't tell him that. Then he's gonna be a big head.
It's true.
What? Yeah. I mean,
I know. I tell Tony
we
all the
tell
time.
him that all the time.
Yeah.
I just wanted to compliment the.
Yeah.
You know.
No. And you know what he said about hiring somebody. We need somebody that's gonna kind of be somebody that's on call pretty much 24/7. You know, in some aspects where.
Only during rainstorms.
Right. You know, something happens.
Well, and still though, during rainstorms, you can't do nothing until it stops raining.
No, but we.
Tony's a good chauffeur in the wintertime. He brought me up and down the hill.
I went and picked him up a couple times once, So we got this covered most of the time, but you know, if Booth gets stuck or something, he needs help. We can get a skid steer or a tractor or a truck to pull him out. You know, this is what I want to do, and we're putting a garden in out front here, a community garden. I want this more to be anything.
Oh, good God! Don't show my goats, Dad.
No, I want to build a filter in it for it to be mine too.
Yeah.
But I want it to be a community thing. I want to build this community where Steve needs help immediately. I'm at work. Tony's somewhere in Columbia doing something. I don't know. I'm making shit up. But Steve needs help. But
If I need help with something, I just put it off till I get help.
But what I'm saying, if it's an emergency type situation, you can't put it off.
If Tyler's at work, I'm at work, and you need an ambulance.
So I'll lay there and scream for 6 hours.
But what I'm saying is, I want this to be a community building thing to help each other. Because this world's going to poo-poo in a handbasket quick.
It's already there.
True
Just
story.
promise me you're not gonna eat my goats.
Oh no.
If we're hungry enough, we have to eat them. But
Well, we got a couple we can eat.
No. I don't like goat.
I've had goat lasagna.
We tried it over at Mike and
I liked it
Johnny's.
the first pan that I ate.
Yeah, the first pan.
It was okay. It was just a little different hamburger.
But hers are meat goats too.
Yeah.
Ours are not. Ours are dairy goats.
Yeah,
All right, buddy.
like 3
Yeah,
Let's go get some money.
mine's dairy
Take a
goats.
lot with me.
Look what I did this morning.
I was making the brownies.
Yeah, so Tony, before
He
you
is full.
go back over to your
Right.
dwelling,
Aw.
stop by over there.